Welcome to Pouse Out of the House. Now today I am in Fowlers in Bristol. I'm over here with the old man, Papa Pouse. He's driven me over in his Civic Type R, the old speed demon. You can see Big Pouse over there with his silly bobble hat on. He's here because he's picking up a Husky 701 and that's what I'm after. But this is the GASGAS and this is their demonstrator. It's basically the same bike. So here we go. It's you're definitely higher up. The seat is like higher, you know. But right, I'll see you in a bit, alright? Well, first impressions, this thing is way quicker than the DRZ, and that's not even trying anything. And for those of you that haven't watched me before, the DRZ is my current vehicle that I drive, and it's a supermoto, very similar kind of bike, but obviously completely different as well. My brother actually, Big Pouse, he rode this the other day and he did say to me about this. He said if you're in second it feels like you want to change to third. So watch, if you look at that there, I'm doing 20. Like going to third, it doesn't like it. It's a bit spluttery actually. Now I don't know if that's the bike or if that's the exhaust. This particular one has got the Remus exhaust on it, alright, like a silencer. I don't know, maybe that's what it is. The seat is a lot harder, that's the first thing I'll notice, right? You feel like you're sat up in the air a bit more. The throttle is obviously a lot more twitchy. I got this on number 2 actually at the moment. I'm not sure if I'm in supermoto mode on that. And maybe that's why it's acting the way it is, I don't know. This thing has 2 different modes. You've got the normal mode, I guess street mode, and then you've got supermoto mode. And supermoto mode, basically where you can accelerate and pop the wheelie and that sort of thing. And I think it turns the ABS off on the back, possibly. What I'm finding is, with this, the indicators are in a slightly different place to what mine are, so I keep going to touch the indicator and it's a horn, so I'll end up beeping the horn. Now I think I'm on a road here in Bristol where I bought my little Grom a few months back. I say a few months back, that was March, and what are we now, November. But I've hardly used that bike, and in the video that I put of the Grom you'll also notice on there that I say about I got the Grom and kept the DRZ rather than get one of these. I say one of these like I've just explained. This is the GASGAS. I don't want the GASGAS, I want the Husqvarna, I think, or the KTM. But interestingly, I've hardly used that Grom and I'm beginning to think I should maybe get rid of the Grom, get rid of the DRZ, have one, you know, bike like this which is, you know, a lot quicker, a lot more power, and just have that as my everyday bike, because I do get out on the DRZ, not very often, but when I do, that's the go-to bike. And I tend not to take the Grom out because it is a 125 in it at the end of the day. It's not very fast and it's nice for commuting and nipping round, but then I can do exactly the same on the supermoto. I've managed to get on a slightly more open bit of road. This is a 40, so I'm not going to honk it, but I managed to get in front of some traffic. Right, first observation I would say of this bike is if you have it in the normal mode, and if you look down there you can see on that screen, or not screen, on that little button there, you push that, you can change that mode from 1 and 2. Now number 2 is the supermoto mode. Now I put it back to number 1 and it does make a difference. It's not as like temperamental. It's what I find in the other mode is when you're in third it doesn't like doing about 20. You've got to get up to about 25 or 30 or otherwise it's really spluttery. I put it in this mode, that seems to have improved that problem. But what I'd say is there's a bit more delay on the throttle in this mode. So when you put it in supermoto mode on number 2, you've got a bit more response, I suppose. Now let's just see now, we're in 4th gear. And the other thing I noticed on this, the brakes, I mean, those brakes are amazing. I am comparing to, obviously, my bike. Oh, this thing is fast around the bend, wow. I mean, I gotta be fair, I can notice the engineering on this, definitely. Like compared to my DRZ, and I know I'm comparing to that, I can't, they're 2 different bikes. It's a very old bike, that sloshy suspension, but my point is, really, it's the closest other thing you can probably buy in the UK to the shape and design of this one, really, because it is a supermoto. It's quite tall, a lot of people say they're tall, but this, you go around the bend there and goodness me, that is so slick, so slick. and it's got so much power as well. It's a different beast. This is starting to put a smile on my face, and I'll tell you why. I used to have, well, I've had a couple of road bikes, but I remember my Fireblade, I used to love that, but I'm not a big fan of racing bikes anymore because they're just too hard to manoeuvre around. Now, is what I would say with this, I'm not saying it's like a Fireblade because it's not, but it has got that racing bike feel, that performance, but on the supermoto, the agility and the seating position of a supermoto, which I've never really experienced, because the only supermoto I've actually ever ridden is the DRZ. Yeah, I mean, I'm in 6th gear here now. I haven't even got 6 gears on the DRZ. Riding position, I'm already used to that. Doing that, they're waving that bike around, and my God, it does move, it's so responsive. You can see it's got that extra pull like that. You can get past cars. Another thing on the DRZ, again, I'm sorry I'm comparing, it's a 400, it's an old bike, it's nothing like this bike whatsoever. But what I would say is, you can't get past cars, and you'll hear me moan about that in my videos a lot. You just don't have the acceleration. On this you do, but I'm starting to get used to this now and realise you've got to drop the gear a bit if you want to really push it. It's got a lot of torque, but if you're in 4th or 5th, like that, it will go, but it's torquey. You want it to go, I guess I've got to drop it in 3rd, but I'm suspecting the front wheel will try and pop then, or maybe not actually in mode 1, maybe I need to put it on mode 2. I'm going to leave it in 1 for now, because I noticed then as it started pulling, if you're not used to it, and you're used to my old bike, it does tend to want to chuck you backwards a bit. I've got to be a bit careful, keep your foot over that rear brake, just in case, but yeah, it's got a lot more grunt, there's no doubt about that. I mean, this thing does go. Wow, it really does go. You know, my only fear with this is having this sort of power again, is that you get yourself into trouble, because I'm so used to the DRZ, you find you can go full throttle flat out everywhere, and you're not really going to get yourself into much of a pickle, and it allows you to approach bends in a sensible way, and, you know, learn to get round bends. The problem I think I would have with this is that there's every chance I'm going to approach a bend way too fast and end up getting myself in a pickle. I thought I'd go up here to get some open roads, but I'm going to go past these cars. False neutral. Now that was something that Big Pau said about on his test run the other day, because he rode this as well, and he said he kept getting the false neutrals. I'm going to try that in supermoto mode and see if I get the same problem, because that's done that twice to me now. I don't know if it's a demonstrator and it's been treated badly. Well, I'm going to go out here. Just going to go for a little drive this way. I don't know what road this is or where it's taking me, but this is more like it, isn't it? That's where I noticed this bike. It's those brakes. They are lovely. The other thing I just remembered on this bike, which I completely forgot, was you don't need to clutch it to get the gears up. You just change gear. It's got that like quick shift function on it. I forgot that. No idea where I am now. I just beat the horn instead of using the indicator. There we go, looking good. And I'm on a demonstrator. People probably think, who's that idiot there? Out practicing on his bike, doesn't know what the hell he's doing. They'd be right. Do you know what though? I thought I'd get on this bike and it'd actually make me feel how bad the DRZ was, and it's actually made me realise how good it is. This thing is like, you know, this is a machine, there's no doubt about it. You can feel the brakes, it's tight, it feels very, look at that, so responsive. I'm barely moving and the bike's over. It feels, although it's the same weight, you can tell the engineering makes it feel lighter because it's so well balanced. It's got a lot more, you know, throttle response. You put the throttle on and boom, you're going. But the DRZ, there's something about it that you're sat on this old bike and it's not slow, it's reliable. There's no worry about the electronics. I'm not messing around with those electronics thinking what mode do I go in. It is what it is. There's no ABS. It's a carburetor. If you run out of fuel, it starts spluttering. You have to get the reserve on quick, or otherwise you have to pull over. And there's something pure about the old bikes I got that I just like, you know. With this I always worry it's being controlled by electronics, and once they go, they're gone. It's back to the garage. to sort it out. There was something else I forgot to mention earlier actually with this bike, and it was the height. A lot of people say it's quite tall. Now, what I'd say is, if you put the DRZ as an example next to it by comparison, they're a similar height, but the suspension on the DRZ, it sinks, it sort of gives when you get on it. There's a lot of slack in it, so when you're actually sat on it, it's probably a few inches lower, I'd say, because I can touch feet both flat on the floor on the DRZ. I actually can't on this. I've got to kind of go a little bit to the one side, which is fine. I'm tall enough to do it and it doesn't bother me at all. But what I would say is, if you're on a hill and the hill was leaning away and you need to go to the left, it could get you in a bit of bother if you're short, and I've heard a lot of people say about that with these bikes. They do actually do a lowering kit, which is like sort of KTM and Husqvarna approved, which you can put on these, I think, for people that are shorter and they want to ride the bike. And I can see why, actually, because the suspension is so stiff. It doesn't matter if you kind of try and sit into it, it does not go down. It's very rigid, so it would be, I would imagine, very hard for someone that is quite short, I suppose. The other thing to mention with this particular bike, and I think the others are the same, I think maybe the KTM and the Husqvarna is a bit different, but there's no fuel gauge. It just tells you, there's a warning light basically saying you're low, which, like I said, is no bother for me because I've never even had that. My bike just splutters and then you've got to get your hand down onto the reserve, and for youngsters that don't know what that is, you have a physical switch below and you have to flick it onto reserve and there'll be a bit of fuel left, and I've never actually run out. But I think on my bike it probably gives you about 10 miles maybe, something like that. I've never, like I say, pushed it to its limit, so I don't truly know. Driving through some lovely parts of well, I don't know if this is Bristol anymore, the outskirts. Like I said, I think we're heading towards Bath in this direction. I've just come down here just on a whim because I thought there was some nice roads I could ride down. But God, doesn't it look lovely around here? It looks really, really nice, and it's not that far off Christmas. I can imagine this being lovely with a load of Christmas lights up. But there's some beautiful places around that sometimes you just don't get to see. And there's another question actually, does this have a USB socket? I thought one of them does. It's freezing cold, but it's lovely and dry, which is great. And here we go, this is perfect now, isn't it, this road for testing this out. Like I said, I got, oh look, we can't be that far from Bristol Airport. Is that an EasyJet? The other thing I noticed with this, on my bike, the seat is a lot softer. So you kind of wedge yourself into the front, you know, being a supermoto where you want to be. This one, you're very much on top of it. You do feel like you're sat on top. Now, the one dilemma I got is that if you're forking out, you know, I think it's 9,300 pretty much for these, it's got to really give me something extra to what I've got on the DRZ. And obviously it does. The engineering's better. This is basically a racing bike, isn't it, on the road, you know? It's a track bike on the road. But the power it's got, and I can feel it, would it really come into its own on the road? Because on the DRZ, like I said, with that I find that I can just drive it flat out everywhere, and you know your limits on that. It sort of stops you going too fast. It handles pretty well around the bends. I just don't know, for me, I've got that bike. It's also appreciating those DRZs. I bought mine for about 2.5, or did I pay 2,400? And it's only done about 10,500 miles. I don't think it's even done that actually. And then it begs the question, you know, if that's appreciating and there's nothing wrong with it, do I need to change it? But then I also think, but I just want like a faster bike. This thing just feels like it wants to throw you off the back when you go. I haven't really been used to that for a long time. And like I said, I think that's just a dilemma for me. But I guess once you get used to this and you get practicing, I'm pretty sure you won't tire of it. It just sweeps you around those bends. I've got to be careful here because I don't know the road. So there we go, see, car pulled straight out, and that's what you got to watch so much around the bend, you know. Bit of water on the road here. What's that all about then? So do I like this bike? Yeah, very much. Would I like to own one? Yes, very much. Will I own one? I'm still not sure. So I've now entered Bristol. I haven't really managed to open this up unfortunately yet, since I last saw you. But what I would say is, I'm beginning to think maybe I've been a bit spoilt because I already ride a supermoto. I think if you try one of these and you've been riding a different style of bike, I think maybe that's when you get the initial, for me, the biggest change. People go, wow, this is amazing. It's like riding, you know, like a BMX with an engine. Like just then, you know, you skip through the traffic, there was a massive queue, straight to the front. Exactly what I do anyway, right? No worry about the size of the bike, you know, it's nice and narrow, it's easily controllable, love it. For commuting, I think it's absolutely brilliant. But like I say, I haven't gained anything there really, because I can already do that. And around the streets, this, yes, it accelerates quicker, but not so much so, you know, up to 30 or 40 that it really make a huge difference to my my riding. I think, like I've said, from what I can make of it, where this would come into its own is when you're driving out on the country lanes, that kind of thing, and it opens out a bit. It's a big, more swooping bends. You can maybe just have a little bit more fun. And overtaking, which is one of my bugbears. You get a lot of drivers. I would be driving along behind them. They slow down on every bend when I can go past them, and I can't get past because it's too dangerous. And what will happen is we'll get on a straight, I try to overtake, and they accelerate. That's where this bike would solve that problem for me, without a doubt, because you could throttle it and straight past them. So there is that. I can you know, I can definitely see the benefits. I'm not trying to, if you like, say this bike is anything like a DRZ in any way really, other than the fact they're both supermotos. But is what I am saying is the fact that they're both supermotos, I guess, is probably what differentiates them from a lot of other bikes. When you get on a supermoto, you realise how liberating it is from riding bigger bikes, really. Right there, I've got that in supermoto mode now, so I'm going to see if this makes a hell of a difference. I think it's going to get a bit more choppy again, but hopefully it'll have a bit more grunt. I don't know why the ABS keeps flashing. Does that mean I've got ABS on? Oh, it's probably because the... Yes. Oh god, you can feel a difference. The ABS has gone off on the back, I think, when you go into this mode. Yeah, this bike goes, I mean, it shifts. I was hoping to actually park up somewhere and show you this as well. I'm out of those country lanes again now, which is a shame, and I need to know what the time is, because there's no time on there. That is a pain in the arse. Nope. Yeah, see that then? Spluttery. Interesting, that. Interesting. That quite spluttery in first. I don't know if it's that Remus exhaust or if it's supermoto mode. That's what you notice if you try to accelerate and you start off with too low a rev, you know, in too high a gear. It goes, loads of torque, but like, see there? It's comfortable, but it wants to be dropped a gear. It really wants to give it some. Yeah, but it's good fun, I have to be fair. I do like it. It's just, is it for me worth 9k? So I just actually passed Fowlers, where I'm obviously doing a test ride. So I actually brought myself back there perfectly, absolutely perfectly, and I was purely by chance. So I've just done almost like a perfect circle by accident. That is literally the road I went down. What's the chances of that? Anyway, again, I'm going to try and get myself out to somewhere a little bit open, alright? I'm going to stop the bike, we'll have a little look around it, and then we'll try and take it for one last blast before I have to go home. Right, so I just hit another neutral then. That was between, I think that was between 4th and 5th, you know. So I'm heading out back towards the oval. Get my head down then. Yeah, I mean, this bike is a lot more responsive top end. I won't tell you what speed I just hit then, but let's just say it got to the speed that the DRZ does flat out, absolutely flat out, and it just did that with ease. So there we are, you work that out for yourself. I'm still in that dilemma, Do I like this bike? Yeah, I love it. I do love it, because I love my bike. I love supermotos, I think I just love the ease of the riding position. Like I said, it simply comes down to me for money. Will this bike, or the Husqvarna, which is the one I want, but you know what I mean, essentially it's the same bike, will this bike, for the extra money, give me that sort of extra pleasure and enjoyment, or will I just be worrying about people wanting to nick it, locking it up when I go away, you know, dropping it and causing damage? I don't know. I wonder if those things will actually outweigh the enjoyment I get from that extra bit of power. When I pull up somewhere on the stand, off I go. I don't really care. Touch wood, I've never dropped it, but you know, if I did, would I be that bothered? No, not really. It's got the odd scuff, the odd mark on it. It's not a brand new vehicle, so I'm not that bothered. Those are all the things that would bother me basically with a new bike. I'm going to find somewhere to pull over. I promise, I will. And then we're going to have a look at the bike, I'll have a little think, check the time, and then we'll probably have to turn around then, because I bet I've been on this longer than I realised. That's always the way, isn't it? Time flies when you're having fun. I'm actually on the road from Bristol to Bath now. Well, I say from Bristol to Bath, I'm not sure which road it is. There's a few roads from Bristol to Bath. What I do like about this is that quick shifter. God, this thing has got some power, mine. yes, this bike, gosh, I mean, it is well engineered. This feels so nimble, feels so light, just so light and nimble. I can smell burning. I could smell that earlier. I hope that's not my jeans burning on something. There's something else around you. Right then, so there we go. So there it is. It's quite a neat looking bike, isn't it? I don't particularly like the red on the GASGAS. I think it's a bit too old school. It looks like it could fade, doesn't it? Like the old days of the Ford red bumpers. But like I say, this is essentially the same bike apart from the wheels. On here it's got those I don't know what you call them, you know, a bit more like car wheels, aren't they? But they're not spokes like the other ones. So as I thought, I've been having too much fun on this, and I've been an hour and 10 minutes, so I'm gonna have to ride back now, because he did say I could have hour to hour and a half. So I'm alright, but better not take the mick. Oh, that goes. Beep the horn again, what a waddy. God, this bike does go, mine. It's like a race bike, flipping heck. Look at it, you'll feel the power. It is a different beast. Oh wow. Whee! Right then, can we get back to Bristol in 20 minutes? I think so. God, that brake is responsive. That is, I mean, like I said, that's what you're getting for the money, isn't it? You're getting a racing bike, really. That's what this is. It's a track bike on the road. It's got ridiculous power to weight ratio. It's light, it's nimble, it's so responsive in every way, you know, the handling, everything. I touch this bike, I go left and it goes left. I've got to keep watching that indicator. I keep going for the bloody horn. It's in a different place to my bike. I think it's just a case of getting used to this. I think I can't get the most out of this bike because it's so good. Again, I went round the roundabout and I pushed myself over too far. It's so responsive. You just got to get out on it and get used to it. It's the same with any bike, isn't it? And I think it would be absolutely phenomenal, to be honest with you. As what would be nice, if you wanted to do track days on this, it'd be amazing. I don't know if any of you watch, and anyone that's into motovlogging probably does, Lamb Chops rides, and he's got the KTM, and I've seen him on the track on it, and it's amazing. He's going past like the racing bikes and the sports bikes. They don't like it. It's all but you shouldn't discriminate against bike styles. If he's going around the track faster, tough. It is what it is. I think you've probably already worked out what I think of this bike, really. I guess, how can I put it? There's absolutely nothing wrong with the bike. In some ways, it's a perfect bike in absolutely every single way. Good suspension, well balanced. It looks good. I mean, like I said, I prefer the Husqvarna to this, obviously. But generally, you know, they look good. They're supermotos, which is why I like them. As you can see now, they're great for commuting. That's more the style of the bike rather than this one. Would I buy one? Absolutely. But am I going to buy one? I'm not sure. I'm not sure that it offers a great deal more than my DRZ to a point. I'm not sure I'll get the full potential out of this, if you like. I think when you're driving around roads like I do, I really don't know. I really don't know if it's going to give me anything else. I don't know if I can drive it to that ability that I'm going to benefit from the extra, you know, power and performance that this bike offers, really. So I guess we'll see. I just stopped then to have a look at the bike and my battery went flat, so I just changed the battery. I had Big Pouch just happened to ring me at the same time saying, where are you? We've been waiting for an hour and a half. So they want me back. They're obviously keen to get going. I think they're bored. So here we go, we're back. That is me signing off. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and press that bell icon for regular notifications. I've been Pouch out of the house. Ta-ta, farewell. He told me I could have an hour and a half, look.
I know that, but it's been over 3/4 now.
What's that?
It's been over 3/4.
Oh, listen, if you two are going to move, I'm going to come over on my own.